question is, to BESS or not to BESS? We've seen so many articles and buzzwords flying around about why one should BESS. Yet no one's really getting into the detail as to maybe we should not BESS, right? And this question is pertinent. Does it even fit your business model? Is it the right place? Is your Munich really suited for it? I'd like to delve into the details. Topics that we've selected are things like, where's tech going, right? Does size really matter? What changes now that load shedding's gone? Has the financial models proven themselves to be worthy? These are topics we're going to discuss in Beyond the Buzzwords of BESS. We just know more now, isn't it? When we started implementing these big battery energy storage systems, it was really to combat generators and the cost of generators because of the load shedding, or at least the grid instability. But when that subsided, owners were left with big investments and they needed to figure out how to manage them, how to get the most out of that investment. This has helped us gain a lot of experience in tailoring our financial models to see what happens in the real life. Having this experience in managing and operating plants, not only here but globally, right? We've gained a lot of knowledge to say, when does this become a financially viable investment and when does it not? We've seen that some Munichs really have the platform for us to say battery makes sense and others really do not. Maybe we have to even compare types of billing methods. So some are being billed on max demand, others are on time of use, and therein lies knowledge that we've gained because we've had to encounter these. We've finally got to a point where we can tell you more now because we really just know more. We only focus on to BESS and not to BESS, and maybe we also should ask the question, who should BESS? Who should invest in battery energy storage? Companies that have a sustainability target, a CO2 footprint reduction target, find themselves stuck. They have rolled out solar on their rooftops or on their properties, but it's only made a 25-30% dent. How do we move that to 40 and 50 and 60, maybe even to 80%? The only way is to generate more energy, but then to store the energy and use it, right? So these customers with CO2 footprint targets and sustainability goals definitely should consider BESS. The fact that BESS is now scalable, can start small, it's safe, it's reliable, there's no more need to stay on the fence, and we can achieve your sustainability goals. Another industry that really should consider battery energy storage is those that have an uptime requirement, where interruptions is critical and costs them dearly. Think of flight simulators, we think of production facilities. The tech has come so far that we see seamless transfer between the grid outage and power being supplied to the load. One of the real-life benefits we see for companies that really should consider to put in battery energy storage is companies that have solar grid-tied systems that are curtailing, meaning they're throttling, they're not getting the most out of the system. Load has fluctuated, there's an imbalance in phases, whatever the reason might be. The investment was made to generate this clean power already, but the investment's not getting all the way there. Adding a battery energy storage system to that grid-tied existing system will allow the grid-tied system to fully produce to its ability, storing the energy into the battery and then reusing at a later stage. We grew up and we were always taught to kind of oversize and overthink and make sure for the unknown, but really when we talk about the investment of a battery energy storage system, it's about getting the most out of it. I think the industry is really still thinking it's big, it's bulky, it's expensive, it's a fire risk. But if we look at the industry, the demand for battery energy storages has resulted in the mass production of these, right? So we've seen a massive price reduction in these battery energy storage systems. Tech has really given us the opportunity now to do something even beyond affordability. Right sizing is one section, but one of the other concerns of the industry is that we need space for these, right? The old bulky big containers, never we found space for it. It was always a concern in terms of the weight of these systems. But what the new tech has brought to us is a decentral approach, right? Smaller, slimmer batteries, IP66 rated, fire suppression built in, We can now start putting them in things like corridors or alleyways, areas that's not really used inside a property. We can stack them together, we can move them across the property, and that's allowed us to start finding a solution for a property that perhaps in the past it just did not work. We look at a mall and we say, what is the size of the battery needed for the entire facility? And then that doesn't make sense because either it's really a big capex or we really do not have space. But what can we do with the space we've got? And there we've gained experience in saying, but in the shopping center, we had 3 mini substations. 2 took care of anchor tenants, and 1 took care of the non-anchors, the mom and pop shops, the backbone of our industry, the coffee shops. And yet, when load shedding came, they could not trade. So it makes for maybe the tenant's not a good tenant because he can't pay because his shops aren't open. And we start learning that battery energy storage goes far beyond just the Munich bill or the normal financial model, but we see tenants being retained. We see landlords being able to charge a higher premium because of the backup power that is installed. There is a business case in each property. It might just not be for the entire facility. One of the big risks when considering to BESS is fire, right? And it was in the older days before the tech advancements, it was a serious risk, is still today. When you place all these lithium energy storage systems into one big room, the energy that can come from it when a fire breaks out is almost not extinguishable. Tech advancements has gone beyond only the design and the scalability. Monitoring at cellular level brings about that we can detect a fire early enough that we can suppress and contain. Containment is now inside each and every little block. Fire suppression is distributed to the exact place where the fire is coming from. This has made battery energy storage safe and reliable. The industry has also been exposed to always oversizing the battery systems, and it was needed when we were sizing for load shedding and grid instability. But when we're looking at BESS as an investment and not as a counter for the generator, we now know through the tech being smaller and scalable that we can start smaller. In fact, we would even recommend it. This is the way to start. Tech has given us the ability to add on and deploy fast when we need to. If your load increases, if load shedding comes back and disrupts operations, we can quickly deploy and build your system bigger. There's no more need to build it that big, to expend that much of CapEx, but to really start and grow yourself into the system. So the question remains, is it time to BESS? Honestly, if you asked me 5 years ago, I'd understand that the not to BESS, not to invest in battery energy storage was a long list, and the reasons for was probably short. I think those that have invested most probably only did it to combat the generator costs and the interruption of it, but is stuck now with probably an oversized, bulky, high fire risk, right? And so the perception's not great. But having shared with you our knowledge, I think it's clear that the not to BESS list has really shrunk, if not completely been taken out, and there's only reasons to BESS. The market has experience. We have learned to manage them. The mass production has brought the pricing down. The tech has advanced that we can do scalable solutions, that we can start small and build up big. Fire risks have been taken out. I truly believe that there is no better time to BESS than right now.